I just want to let y'all know that technically this isn't my first mini movie review. This is number 36 because I had done what I call Movie Chat Fridays when I had 3 channels during my Baby Rose era, 2016, 2021. And my second channel that I created in 2019 to 2021, I call them again Movie Chats Fridays, where I talked about 35 movies. Okay. And I will show y'all the list of those 35 movies that I had covered during that time on my Instagram or on my YouTube account. You just go on under the community tab, the post, and you will see the 35 list of movies that I talked about. So y'all want to say, hey, do this on this one, do this on that one. Now, most of them are classics because I'm an 80s baby, 90s kid, and some of them are new. All right. So technically, this movie is my number 36. But for this channel, Baby Screen Queen is number 1. Okay, so let's get into Welcome to the Dollhouse. How y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? So like I stated in the beginning of the video that this is a basic continuation of my movie chats, but for here, this is the first mini movie review for this channel. Now, like I did with my movie chats back in the day, I cover 5 categories: the background, synopsis, my favorite scenes, main points, shocking or questionable, or like kind of like what the heck moments, and what I like and dislike about the movie. But before I get into that, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, hit the notification bell button when I post up new videos, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok under the same name, Baby Screen Queen. So let's get into the background of 1995 for Canada and 1996 for here of Welcome to the Dollhouse. Welcome to the Dollhouse was released on September 10th, 1995 at the Toronto International Film Festival in Canada, and it was also released on May 24th, 1996 in the United States. It was distributed by Sony Pictures Classics, directed, produced, and written by Todd Solondz, music by Jill Wisoff, with the production company Suburban Pictures. Now let's get into the synopsis of Welcome to the Dollhouse. According to IMDb website, the synopsis of Welcome to the Dollhouse states, an awkward 7th grader, Dawn Weiner, played by Heather Monterosso, struggles to cope with inattentive parents, Mr. and Mrs. Weiner, snobbish classmates, a smart older brother, Mark Weiner, a beautiful but yet spoiled and manipulative little sister, Missy Weiner, and her, Dawn's, own insecurities in suburban New Jersey. Now let's talk about my favorite scenes or main points. The reason why I like the scene with Mark and Dawn talking in the kitchen towards the end of the movie is because I felt like what Mark said to Dawn is a way for Dawn to think about what he has said and for her to a chance to do certain things that she doesn't want to do so she can get out. Because I felt like that Mark realized what Dawn has gone through, and with their relationship is it's a typical brother and sister relationship. Yeah, he called her names like dingus, butthead, and what have you, and what brothers, what siblings, siblings do that. I have siblings, okay? We talk about each other, call us stupid, dinghead, big head, what have you. So Mark and Dawn's relationship is typically a brother and sister relationship, which I think that Mark really truly loves and respects Dawn more so than anybody else. I don't think that he's one of them that he felt ashamed that she is his sister, okay? Because if that was the case, Dawn wouldn't go to Mark for anything. Okay, if she has questions, she would go to Mark. So what happened was that Dawn had to go to Disney World because her and her choir had to perform there. I wish I was in women's ensemble, advanced women's ensemble, and alto. Okay, and we only perform at the Blumenthal here in Charlotte during the winter performance. I forgot what you call it. Winter concert. Yeah, winter concert to perform Christmas songs. It was good. It was televised too. And she said, before that, she asked Mark, is 8th grade better than 7th grade? And he basically said that, middle school sucks. High school is much better. It's closer to college. And then she looked on the bulletin board where the flyer said that their choir is going to perform at this certain day, certain time, what have you. She don't want to. She doesn't want to go to Disney World, and so she told Mark that she doesn't want to go to Disney World. And then Mark said to her, "Don't be stupid. If anything, it will look good on your college resume." And then he left. And then you see her looking out, and then you see her in the charter bus where her choir mates were singing all happy and everything. And I think it's a song they're going to perform at Disney World. And you can see her just like singing, just being sad, and just like, I don't want to go. Here I am forced to do something I don't want to do. And I don't think, to me, my interpretation is that I don't think that she captured what Mark was telling her. And of course, because she's young. And I feel like, in my interpretation, is that Mark is telling her sometimes you got to do things that you don't want to do so you can get out of here and start a new life. And maybe come back and say, hey, you thought I couldn't make it. And, if you glow up, I mean, Dawn isn't an ugly girl. I don't know why they keep saying that. But, she is like, if she comes back and let them know, like, oh, look at me now. What's going on with Missy? Nothing. Ha ha ha. Like, you can show them. But she's young, and she doesn't understand that. But I think that Mark was trying to tell her that sometimes you gotta do what, like my mama say. Sometimes you gotta do what you want to do so you do what you do what you want to do so you no do what you need to do so you can do what you want to do. In a way, it's like, I don't want to do that need, but I got to do that need in order to get that. So if you got to go to Disney World, you might as well, if you're going to look good on your college resume. Not mine. But like with Mark, like, he created a band. He don't care about that. But, well, he kind of think that maybe they're going to get a gig in a road. But his point is, it will look good on his college resume so he can get into a good college. So, sometimes you got to do extra curricular activities outside of school or inside of school. So, the college will look at your resume and say, oh, so, you did this and that and the third. So he was like giving Dawn the boost. And I like that. I like that out of all the conversation that they had, that it was genuine and he gave her a genuine answer. So, like, again, I think that Mark really truly loved his sister, Dawn, and respected her and realized what she has gone through, because they did do a movie about their cousin wanting to get pregnant. And in that movie, Dawn had ended her life because she was in college. They say that she was, that she probably had gone through the same thing where she had gone at home. I don't know. But I didn't like that how they did that with her character. They should have done Welcome to the Dollhouse too, but I get into that. But yeah, she had ended her life in that movie. And I think Mark had pointed the fingers at the people who gave her hell. So, but that's my favorite scene in this movie. Actually, that's my number one favorite scene in the movie, and my only one, because I don't have a favorite scene in this movie, even though it's a really good movie. But that one right there really truly stood out to me. I was like, I see what Mark is doing. That's my interpretation. That's my opinion. Maybe y'all don't see it that way, but that's my opinion. So let's get into shocking or what the heck moments. Oh, yes, 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 yes. So Dawn was going to the bathroom, and she didn't know there was a classmate in there, but there was, and it was Lovita. I think it's Lolita or Lovita. I think it's Lovita. I put the name right there. And so Dawn said, hey, and she goes to the sink, and then Lovita like followed her, and Lovita asked Dawn, you didn't come in here. No, it didn't ask. She told Dawn, you didn't come in here to wash your hands. Dawn was like, yes, I did. Lovita told Dawn, you came in here to take a crap. Dawn was like, no, I don't have to go. Really, my hands was just dirty, that's all. And Lovita said to Dawn, liar, I can smell you from here. So Dawn was about to get out. And then Dawn was like, let me go. And then here's what Lovita said. It what she told her to do.
First, take a
Who freaking does that? Like, what? And then Dawn was like, I'm going to be late for class. And then Levita was like, well, you're not leaving until you do. Then Dawn was going on about like, hey, how Levita can be part of the special people club that Dawn had created, that she can be the vice president. And then Levita was like, F you. And Dawn was like, I really wasn't the one I really wasn't the one that has been cheating, meaning that because they did take a test in history class and Brandon had cheated off of her paper. And so Dawn told the teacher, and then both Dawn and Brandon got a detention. And so Lovita was so mad at Dawn that, that she told Dawn that, yeah, you always innocent and Brandon's always guilty. And then Dawn was like, but he really was. And then here comes Lovita saying, will you stay away from Brandon? He is mine. Got it? I said, first of all, I heard this in middle school, is my middle school myself, so ain't nothing new. And then Dawn was like, of course, but, and then here comes Levita said, but S. And they pushed her into the stall. And Dawn was about to close the door, but no. Levita pushed it open. It's like, no, I want to see it. I want to see that you crap. I want to see it with my own eyes. And then Dawn asked her, why do you hate me? And Levita said,
because you're ugly.
I'm like, for one thing, why you want to see her crap? Why you want to see her take a dump? Like, who does that? And you want to call Dawn weird and she's ugly and all that kind of stuff. I don't like when people do that. You see this in school, you see this in the world, where a group of people want to make fun either of a person or another group and dub them as the violent ones, as the ugly ones and the weird ones, but you are doing the exact thing that you call this person weird, which they hadn't done anything weird or is remotely violent, but you are. It's just crazy. She asked her to take a dump and wanted to see her taking a dump, and then poor Dawn ran up the hill into the fence and just breathed. It's just like what she had to deal with on the day-to-day basis and be humiliated like that. It's one thing to have a spitball thrown at your head by Brandon. It's one thing somebody, you see those three boys put up a middle finger while she is talking to the principal as well, with her, because her parents was there. Okay, because she trying to do a spitball back to Brandon, but it got into a teacher's eyes. So she's in the principal office with her parents, and then you see the three boys put up a middle finger. It's one thing to be called, well, hold on. I don't like when they call her Lesbo and they call her Wiener Dog because her last name is Wiener, and call her Dog Face. That's what Brandon called her. I get into him next. But just the fact that you're going to say, hey, I want to see you take a dump. What the freak is going, like, what? Like, that is sick. That is so sick. And then it lets me know, how, what people gone through during middle school. Because, yeah, it starts in middle school and child and high school is the worst. But then it's like, Dad, I was bullied in middle school. But I know that people were bullied. I'm like, to what extent that I don't even know of? And it lets me further know that people like Dawn, who gets bullied like Dawn, like, that is sick. She is sick. Dawn ain't even thinking about Brandon. So it lets me know that Brandon was thinking about Dawn in that way and has a crush. And that's why I'm getting to this next scene that is really truly effed up. This is why this movie is good, but it's so weird and so effed up. I'm getting hot right now. It's getting hot in here. Okay, so 3:00 appointments, and y'all know what I'm talking about, those who watch the movie. So what happened is that Dawn was singing in her locker. For me to know the tune, what she was singing, not the name, but just know the notes. Here comes Brandon. Hey, ugly. Dawn asked, what do you want? And what? Ooh, this is what Brandon said. Oh my gosh. You better get ready because at 3:00 today, I'm going to grape you. He taunts her throughout the whole school day. In math class, long division, he put 3:00, underline. Chemistry class, Dawn saw Brandon walking by with some kind of rope, I don't know, stretchy rope, what have you. In the hallway, she's talking to a girl, a redhead girl, and Dawn has a naked woman, like picture of a naked woman with tassels on the woman's areola, and just getting the knife and just doing like that, and then licking the knife. Ugh. And then the library scene, and Dawn sitting at the table, and you see to Dawn's left, you see Brandon standing in between the bookshelves, leaning on one of the bookshelves, just looking at her. And guess who came from behind Brandon? The crap girl, okay? Came up from Brandon and told Brandon, forget that ugly bitch. And then you can hear Levita asking Brandon, "You want to come to my house tonight?" And then Brandon was like, "Get the f away from me." And then you see Levita just caressing Brandon's head and what have you. But then Brandon shoved Levita, saying, "They get the f away from me." And then looked at Dawn and then walking away as he was looking at her. So Dawn coming out and of the school, and he got her against the wall, head up against the wall as well, and then saying this and that and the third. And then he got the knife and held it at her throat and told her to strip twice, and then she got out. Now the reason why he's mad, because he Don called Brandon a dumbtard, okay, and at the convenience store, at the arcade. And then he that's the reason why. And so he called her house and asking her why she ran off. And she's like, "I was in a rush." Like, what the hell is going on here? What's going on? So he made an appointment again. Tomorrow, same time, same place. You get graped. Be there. I'm like, who makes appointments? And dog, why you ain't saying anything? Your mama's right there. And maybe she ain't gonna say anything. It's like, they ain't like, nah, I don't believe you, this and that and the third. So she met him back outside of the school. He asked her what time does she had to be home by. She said 4:30. She's about to unbutton her shirt, and then he stopped her and told her, "We need to go somewhere." So it's like in this isolated area. I don't know if that's a shelter or a cellar. I don't know what you call it, but there was a mattress, and she laid on the mattress on her elbows, and he's sitting on a bucket and asked her, if she wanted to smoke. She was like, no. And then she said to Brandon, but she thinks that the smoke should be legalized. And then Brandon gonna ask her, why do you always have to be see you next Tuesday? And then she was like apologizing and what have you this. And then he revealed that he has a brother who is mentally challenged. And it's like, oh, okay. So Dawn was like, okay. So that's the reason why. And then she apologized. And then he flicked his cigarette, saying that there's nothing to be sorry about. He's a tough kid. He can beat you up if you want to. And then she walked up to him apologizing again. And guess what he did? He kissed her. He kissed her. Once he finished kissing her for the first, coming up for air, she was breathing on hard, and he kissed her again. And then after that, Dawn asked him if he was still going to do what he said he's going to do. And then he going to ask, what time is it? And then she going to say, I don't know. I guess I don't have to be home yet. What? And then Dawn Brandon was like, no, there's not enough time. Dawn said, thank you, Brandon. Brandon said, yeah, but just remember, this didn't happen. Don't tell no one, effing no one. And Dawn said, I'm not going to tell anyone what happened at the school. And then he pulled her in, his forehead against her forehead, and threatened, because if she does tell, he would do what he promised. And then she said, okay. I never know making that kind of threat should be an appointment. I thought it's supposed to be spontaneous with fear and disgust, mainly with someone that you do know. I never know anybody make an appointment, they're going to do that. Usually when you make that appointment, it's like, I'll see you outside at 3:00 because we're going to get into a fight. When did taking advantage of someone is also part of that appointment at 3:00? Like, that is so disgusting. And that lets me know that he doesn't even know what he's talking about, because how young they were. Okay, because she's not supposed to see it coming. But you telling her what she got every ammunition to tell someone what, like, it was all kind of crazy, because it's just so weird. It's just so weird, but it lets me know that Brandon has a thing for Dawn, because yeah, he will call her names, But he wouldn't even go that deep like the rest of Dawn's classmates, because Dawn's classmates were ruthless. But it's like Brandon had to act that way so he won't be bullied as well alongside her. It's like I gotta be like a cool kid and talk bad about her, but not too much. But so everybody know that I'm cool and all this and that. Because in the convenience store, when they got into it, and while she and her best friend Ralphie was talking, and yeah, and he came in, Brandon and his friends, and who did Brandon mess with the most? Ralphie. Call him, yeah. Now he did like mess with Ralphie a lot. Call him the F word that rhymes with maggot, and Dawn was like, "Shut up," and he was like, "Make me lesbo." That's what he said, not me. And she was like, "You think you're so cool?" And then Ralphie said something, but Brandon always attacked Ralphie. So when Dawn called him a dumb tard, oh, really? So he was hurt that she had called him that. Okay, instead of talking about it, you're gonna make that threat that you don't know anything about, and it proves me that he really truly liked Dawn. It's like I can't let anybody know, but I think the reason why he likes Dawn is because that he's gone through himself, because he wasn't invited to a birthday party from Cookie. His two friends have been invited, and I guess because they live in the suburb neighborhood, and he and Brendan, live in the poor part of the neighborhood, and it's like, no, I'm not going to invite you. Even Brandon gave Cookie a cookie, and then Cookie's like, but Brandon, this didn't cost anything. Like, it's like, homegirl who played in Taina, that Nickelodeon Taina, yeah, she was in this movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dawn and Brandon had a relationship, and then Dawn had to break his heart and saying that she's in love with Steve and all that stuff. Mm. And then they kind of got back together. Then he left to go to New York because they thought that she thought at one point in the school thought that he had dealt drogas, but really and truly it was his friend who had dealt the drogas. So he wanted her to come with him, but she said she can't. But their love is toxic anyway, so it's like if they both had a relationship, he would be like either would abuse her verbally. I don't know about physically, but it's like, mm. But yeah, that 3 o'clock scene was just so. Ooh, it's like, who makes appointments? It's supposed to be spontaneous with fear again. I'm supposed to not see it. I'm not trying to make light of it, but that's just what it is. Like, who makes appointments? And from crap scene to, hey, I'm going to grape you at 3 o'clock. I mean, god dang, Dawn has gone through it. Oh, this is so weird. But let's get into what I like and dislike about the movie. Now, what I love about the movie is how strong Dawn was. Because for her to take that much bullying at school and not be given love from her parents at home, and they always cater to Missy because she's the beautiful one. She has potential, and Missy was eating that crap up. Usually most people would end their life. But even though I talk about the movie about her cousin, wanted a baby and she ended her life in that, I really don't want to like pay attention to that. I want that to be erased. But for this one, she could have ended her life, but she didn't. And because yeah, I was bullied in the years that I've been bullied, later part in middle school. I'm not even going to like maybe 8th grade. There probably was in 7th, 6th grade, but I didn't pay really much attention to that. But 8th grade and then high school, I go through nights crying. And you can see Dawn just in her head, like going through an uphill battle. But she made it. And I got to give it up to her. You didn't see like a crying moment, but you can tell that she's crying on the inside, just like, oh, like either like, why am I here? And when I act a certain way, why am I acting like this? I shouldn't like do this, have done this, or what have you, or said this. I get into that later on. And but she carried through. She's a heroine. You know, you can go through so much and still go to school, lift your head up high, stand on your 2 feet if you want to. You know, she sometimes she can take care of herself, but sometimes she couldn't. But she stuck it out. I mean, she stuck it out, and I had to give it to her. That's what I like about this movie, and it gives you an insight what a person goes through at a home when you be bullied at school, but you not being loved at home at all. And you want love, you want to be accepted, but it's like, what can I do? And then here comes, with Mark. Mark loves his sister, so it's like, okay, there's him, and then there's this boy that she had a crush with, Steve, who likes my company. She got a crush on him because Mark told her that Steve likes to do anyone. She felt like she had a chance, but Steve doesn't see her in that way. It's like Steve sees her like a little sister who understood him, understood his dreams, and he understood her what she had gone through when they first met. It's like you've gone to Link. I forgot what middle school that they had. Where she attended to, and asked her did she like it, and then he was like, yeah, that school's pretty bad. And then she asked him like, yeah, I went there, yeah, this and that and the third. And so because he hated it, and so they bond. And so he saw her. And even though when Mark was like, um, see, even though when Mark, hold on, even though when Mark was like, get out of my room, Dawn, Steve, you know, took up for her. It's like, just leave her alone. Like, you being a total fascist. Oh my gosh. Like, you want to get out of the room. So she's here. Just leave her alone. So it's like Dawn had support, but at the same time, most of the time she does it and she stuck it out. Now, what I dislike about the movie is that Dawn can be her worst enemy. She ain't innocent either. And the thing that I dislike about the movie, what she had done, is how she treated Ralphie. When Missy answered the phone, it was Ralphie on the phone. And then Dawn was like, tell him I'm being punished. And then Missy was like, you're not being punished. And Dawn was like, well, I don't feel like talking to him. Missy said, well, he's your friend, so here. And Dawn, and then what you see is Ralphie on the phone hearing this, where Dawn said, hang it up, I don't want to speak to that F word that rhymes with maggot. Then Missy was like, Dawn, and Dawn's like, hang it up. Missy said to Dawn, but he's your friend. And Dawn said, he's not, he's a spy and an a-hole. And Missy told Dawn, I think you should apologize. And then Dawn said to Missy, F you. Then Missy hung up the phone. And you see Ralphie's face just went down. Like, this is my friend. Like, why would she talk to me about it? Yes, I watched you and you spend time with Brandon at our special clubhouse, and you revealed to him that you like Steve and he was heartbroken, and I'm consoling you, and you gonna call me the F word. And she just burned that bridge to the ground. And then it's not only that, because even though Missy was manipulative and all, but for Dawn to sit at the dinner table and mouth "F you" to Missy when Missy didn't do anything at all, it's like, Dawn, what are you doing? And so it's like because she's been bullied all her life into that school and even at home, that whatever they said to her or called her, she would put that on Missy. Even though most of the time Missy, would start crap. Even though Dawn, is innocent, but like again, she is not innocent as well. Because then she would take it out on Missy when Missy didn't even ask for it. Like cut off her doll's head. And then Missy was like combing it or what have you. Then the doll head was like fell off. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, it's crazy. Yeah, my hair is like not working with me today. Would she want to hit Missy with the hammer? Because Missy pushed her in the kiddie pool during her parents' wedding anniversary, and then not giving Missy the note to take a ride from whoever, and Missy was kidnapped. It's like, oh, like And she did that because, like, if I get her out of the way, then I will get more love from my. I will have get more love from my mother. But that didn't happen because mother was too busy distraught about Missy. And no, so Dawn thought about like going to New York to find her. And so, but they already found her, and she just wanted to be a hero, and so everybody will love her. That's what she wants. And I get it, and I get it, and that's why I'm not saying it just to say that. I said it because I had gone through it. I was a Dawn, where where you because you get jealousy and you being bullied, so you take on the one who shown the most attention. Like that was Missy with her. Me was my little sister. Yes, I was. I was a bit mean to her because she got the attention. But my sister wasn't like Missy. Okay, being manipulative is kind of like, hey, I can get my way and what have you. But she's the beautiful one. She's this and that. And then the most respected. And then, me, they say, oh, I'm cute. But really and truly, they want to say that I'm ugly, which I've been called. Like Brandy, you may have someone that's interested in you. Yeah, I have just a little bit, just very little. But not a whole lot like Missy. Okay, or like my sister. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, I was my own worst enemy. So I understood it. So that's why I can understand Dawn. But never to a point where I would get the hammer and do that and not like that. No, I wasn't I wasn't that crazy. That's about it. That's about it. This movie is pretty effed up. But it is enjoyable to watch. My first time seeing this was I was like 12 or 13. And it was on Bravo Network when Bravo Network was good back in the 90s. So I was like, was 98, 99. I was 12, 13 years old. And yeah, I can relate to Dawn. And again, this is a good movie. It's pretty effed up, pretty weird, but I think anyone could understand Dawn. And I think that people need to look at this movie to those who are being bullied heavily, especially in this climate, to look at that movie and realize, like, if she can go through with this and continue on to go through with this in high school, then I can, go through it as well. But that is it of my first mini movie review of Welcome to the Dollhouse. Tell me what y'all thought about this movie. Was it weird? Was it good, or both? And what's your favorite scenes? What's the most effed up scene that in this movie that y'all just can't just woof? But put in the comment section below, and I will see y'all next time. Okay? So peace, love, and happiness to all of you. Stay cool. Don't be no fool. And use a tool of what? Knowledge. Deuces. Bye.